4 horrifying true summer horror stories. Story 1: The Camping Nightmare. In the summer of 2017, 3 college friends Mike, Sarah, and John decided to go on a camping trip in the dense forests of Oregon. They were excited to escape the city and spend a weekend surrounded by nature. After setting up their campsite, they spent the first day hiking, swimming, and enjoying the tranquility of the woods. As night fell, they gathered around the campfire, sharing stories and roasting marshmallows. The atmosphere was perfect until Sarah noticed something odd, a faint, rhythmic tapping sound coming from the darkness. They initially dismissed it as the forest's natural noises, but the tapping grew louder and more insistent. Mike shined his flashlight into the trees, but they saw nothing. The tapping stopped, and they nervously laughed it off, deciding it was just their imaginations. They retreated to their tents, but sleep eluded them. Around midnight, John woke up to the sound of footsteps outside his tent. He listened intently, heart pounding, as the footsteps circled the campsite. Suddenly, there was a loud, metallic clanging sound followed by Sarah's scream. Mike and John rushed out of their tents to find Sarah standing by the campfire, pale and shaking. She pointed to a tree where an old, rusty metal box was tied with a rope. The box was still swinging from the force of being struck, but there was no one else in sight. They decided it was too dangerous to stay and quickly packed up their gear. As they hiked back to their car, they felt eyes watching them from the shadows. When they finally reached the safety of their vehicle, they sped away, vowing never to return to that forest. Back in town, they reported the incident to the local authorities, who told them about a hermit who lived in the woods and was known to scare off campers. However, they never found the hermit or any signs of him living in the area. The friends were left with an unsettling memory of their camping nightmare. Story 2: The Beach House Terror. In the summer of 2018, Lily and her friends rented a beach house in a small coastal town in Maine. They were looking forward to a relaxing week of sunbathing, swimming, and barbecuing. The house was charming, with a perfect view of the ocean, and they immediately felt at ease. The first few days were idyllic, filled with laughter and fun. One evening, after a day spent at the beach, they decided to have a bonfire in the backyard. As they were setting up, an elderly neighbor, Mr. Thompson, warned them about the area's dark history. According to him, a series of disappearances had occurred in the 1970s, and the locals believed the beach house was haunted. The group laughed off the old man's stories as superstitious nonsense and continued with their bonfire. Later that night, Lily woke up to the sound of soft crying. She thought it was one of her friends and got up to check, but everyone was sound asleep. The crying continued, leading her to the living room, where she saw a shadowy figure of a woman standing by the window. Lily froze in fear as the figure slowly turned to face her, revealing a pale, expressionless face. She blinked and the figure was gone. Terrified, Lily woke up her friends and told them what she had seen. They searched the house but found nothing unusual. The next night, strange things started happening. Objects moved on their own, doors creaked open and shut, and they heard whispers in the empty rooms. The final straw came when they found a message scrawled in the sand outside the house: "Leave now." Panic-stricken, they decided to cut their vacation short. As they were packing up, Mr. Thompson came by and told them about the ghost of a woman who had disappeared in the 1970s. She was last seen near the beach house, and locals believed her restless spirit haunted the property, seeking revenge on anyone who stayed there. Lily and her friends left the beach house that night, vowing never to return. The experience left them with a haunting memory of their beach house terror. Story 3: The Carnival of Fear. In the summer of 2019, a traveling carnival came to a small town in Texas. It was the event of the year, and everyone was excited to attend. Emma and her friends were particularly thrilled, eager to enjoy the rides, games, and attractions. The carnival had a mysterious allure, with its vintage rides and eerie, old-fashioned decor. On their first night at the carnival, they were drawn to a fortune-teller's tent. The fortune-teller, a mysterious woman with piercing eyes, warned them to be careful and avoid the Hall of Mirrors. Intrigued and a little unnerved, they decided to check it out anyway. The Hall of Mirrors was a maze of reflective glass and distorted reflections. They entered, laughing and taking selfies, but the laughter soon turned to fear as they realized they were lost. The mirrors seemed to change and move, trapping them deeper inside the maze. Emma noticed a figure in the mirrors that wasn't one of them: a tall, shadowy man with a sinister grin. No matter which way they turned, the figure was always there, watching them. Panic set in as they tried to find their way out, but the mirrors kept leading them back to the center. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness. They heard the sound of footsteps and the man's eerie laughter echoing through the maze. Terrified, they huddled together, trying to stay calm. After what felt like an eternity, the lights came back on, and the figure was gone. They finally found the exit and stumbled out, shaken and disoriented. They reported the incident to the carnival staff, but no one believed them. The fortune teller's tent was gone, and the staff claimed there was no record of such an attraction. Emma and her friends left the carnival with a chilling story of their encounter in the Hall of Mirrors. They never discovered who the shadowy figure was or why he haunted the mirrors, but the memory of the Carnival of Fear stayed with them long after the summer ended. Story 4: The Lake House Haunting. In the summer of 2020, a group of friends rented a lake house in the remote woods of Michigan for a week-long vacation. The house was beautiful, with a private dock and a view of the serene lake. They spent their days swimming, fishing, and enjoying the tranquility of the secluded location. On the third night, they decided to have a barbecue by the lake. As they were eating, one of them, Jake, noticed a light flickering in the distance, across the lake. It seemed to be coming from an old, abandoned cabin they had seen earlier. They joked about it being haunted, but as the night went on, the light grew brighter and more erratic. Curiosity got the better of them, and they decided to investigate the next day. They rowed across the lake and approached the cabin, which was dilapidated and overgrown with weeds. Inside, they found old furniture, dusty photographs, and an eerie sense of abandonment. As they explored, they found a journal that belonged to the previous owner who had mysteriously vanished years ago. The entries detailed strange occurrences and a growing sense of dread. The last entry was a frantic scribble: "The light is calling me. I can't resist." That night, back at the lake house, they were awakened by a loud splash. They ran to the dock and saw Jake standing at the edge, staring at the light in the distance. His eyes were vacant, as if in a trance. They pulled him back just in time as he tried to walk into the water. Over the next few days, Jake became increasingly obsessed with the light, insisting it was calling to him. They tried to keep him inside, but on the final night he disappeared. They found him at the abandoned cabin, unconscious but alive. He had no memory of how he got there. Frightened, they left the lake house early, abandoning their vacation. Jake recovered but was left with a lingering sense of unease. The light never reappeared, but the haunting experience of the lake house stayed with them, a chilling reminder of their summer horror.